gunning for it, if you will.
Well, let's take it back to you breaking your hand.
You broke your hand?
Yeah, that senior
How old
year.
were you when you broke your hand?
18.
Oh man!
So-
was that the first time you broke
You should
something?
watch that video too. 'Cause there's
I
a
have-
video of that.
Me breaking my hand?
Yeah.
I don't have it set up once we get
I
there.
forget
I can definitely get it all good.
where it was, but I've seen the video.
I think I showed you that. That was.
Maybe.
I think that's only on my phone. I don't think I put that anywhere.
Probably not.
But
It does exist.
it does exist. There is a video. Yeah. So I when I was 18, for the Cheez-It Tungsten Federation, every early October we do our Connecticut Yankee National Tournament.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I'd be competing with the 18-year-olds, and I'd be competing with some of the guys we train with, Chris Cappiello and Kyle Landry McWilliams and all those guys.
Okay.
And I was just doing a dry run of my brakes the class before that Sunday, and I just came down on the pile wrong, and I broke my 5th metacarpal.
Oh,
So I was in a soft cast for a week, a second soft cast for 2 weeks, and then a hard cast for 2 weeks. So I was out of commission for a while.
oh, so it was only 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay,
It
no, you
wasn't-
healed up quick.
Yeah.
You healed up pretty quick, and then
Well,
you,
can
just
see
went back to
in the video When
breaking.
he breaks his hand, he's like,
I'm looking at it.
He's like, I think something's wrong here.
Yeah, because my whole hand
Oh.
started buzzing. I'm like, that's not right. And then I looked again, and my whole hand was like yellow. I'm like,
Oh,
Yes.
was that like minutes after?
it was seconds.
It was seconds after?
Oh yeah, like it went yellow quick, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, that don't look right. And I went to my instructor. I was like,
Was
sir.
it swelling?
Yeah, he goes, I think you broke your hand.
Did you do the old natural comparator? Like, let's see. You got like the baseball on the left, and you got the
Yeah, it didn't swell up immediately. It did when I got to the ER, but they had to like drain it and stuff. But anyways, enough about my swollen, broken hand.
Yeah.
I was just interested. I'm
No,
sorry.
you're good. Not a problem. What were we talking about? Oh, how I got into it.
Yeah.
So
Made you a board breaker.
that was my senior year of high school, and then for college, I was at CCSU in New Britain, Connecticut,
Nice.
and I was at the karate club there, and I was still training. And that's kind of when I started getting to the USBA, WBA, which is the United States Breaking Association and World Breaking Association. And like we were saying before, right, I'm not the biggest guy. And the funny thing with that breaking circuit is you have lightweight and you have heavyweight.
Okay. Yep.
But heavyweight is 200 pounds and up. Lightweight is 199 and down.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So
really? Okay,
yeah,
that's very interesting.
like you got guys that are 180 pounds, 190 pounds, even like 160, 170.
Yeah.
And then there's me. Because we always joke around because the lightweights we have to weigh in before we hit stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll always just walk up and the guy weighing us will chuckle and I'll be like, yeah, I think I'm like 130 today. And he's like, oh, yep, good guess. and just, go about my business.
Okay.
So yeah, I started really getting into it in college. I was training at CCSU New Britain, and then finally one night, I think it was like my second or third time ever competing in USBA, and I did. I didn't do great.
You did.
I did. And I was speaking to the instructor at the time for both CCSU and Wallingford. I'm like, listen, I did. I know I can do better. You have guys at Wallingford who can break, coffee tables worth of boards.
Yeah, that's insane, man. Okay.
And
that's a lot. A coffee table? They would bring a coffee table
No,
from
no,
home,
an
or they order from
exaggeration,
Amazon
but
and be like,
yeah.
They would just bring
I mean, that might be a new idea for you, though. Might want to try it. That'd be cool.
I don't know. I believed you
Just
for a
get up and
second.
breaks us right now.
You made it.
Let me try.
He's like, here, I'll prove it to you. Watch.
I can
People
give
did
it a
They
shot,
did just
sure.
like this.
That's how the podcast show ends.
Yeah.
But it ends with them breaking. That's actually what's going to happen.
But yeah, that
So-
was kind of November-ish, my freshman year of college, and I started training in Wallingford with Kayla about a couple months later, and she's kind of been stuck with me since. So I think,
Love that.
I think two people I really have to thank for kind of inspiring me to go train with them is Brian Murray, who's also on the breaking team with us.
Shout out
And
to Brian.
shout out to Brian, and another person, Mr. Greg Doyle.
Okay. Shout out to Greg.
Definitely two guys who inspired me to just, keep putting more boards on that pile and just hit a little bit harder.
Yeah, that's cool.
Then fast forward a couple years, I think it was November of, you're better with dates than me, November of 2021. I qualified for the U.S. Open for the first time.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
That's
that was
awesome.
Yeah.
2022 was the year that
we all went.
Yes.
Yes. So November of 21, we were at that place right across the street from 60.
The Naugatuck events.
Yeah.
the Naugatuck Event
Yep.
Center. Yeah.
So we were there, and I qualified for Power Concrete Sidekick.
How many boards?
Wait, was I? This
No,
is the one
it's
I heard about,
concrete.
right? Was this the one I heard about?
This was
Prob-
his qualifier.
Yeah, that was in
before
Florida.
we went-
Yeah, yeah.
Before
we
Florida.
went.
When
Yes.
we were in Epcot, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I cleared 10 of 10 on that stack.
Nice, dude.
And it
I
was
remember
funny
that, actually,
because
hearing about it.
I hit it, and in that split second, I'm like, it was a clean kick, but didn't feel hard.
I was gonna say you could definitely tell
Yeah.
how it feels.
It's funny. You feel the ones that you don't. You feel the breaks that you don't clear more than you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know exactly what
Yeah.
you're saying.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure you've hit a pile. We've all hit a pile. Even if you just leave one or two behind, it still comes back up and
Shot
it bites.
comes back,
Yeah.
It's like everything has to feel right going all the way up the arm.
Yup.
And if just something feels
Yup.
a little off, it's just not going to go through. Or you got a little boo boo.
Yeah,
Looking
and
all
especially on the concrete, it stings a lot more when it bites on you. So, but I cleared. I didn't realize, but I cleared the pile, and I kind of poked my head around the right side, and all the guys holding the stack are cheering. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I broke it all, and that was the day I qualified for first time, and that was pretty cool because going way back to 8-year-old Pat.
8-year-old Patty.
8-year-old Patty, yup.
Same height and
Same,
everything.
exactly. I was just about to say that. Wait, stole my thunder.
Sorry.
Yeah, 8-year-old Pat. I think I was sitting on the back porch watching cartoons or something, and my Uncle Jim called the house and was like, "Hey, listen, there's some, hot shot breaking thing on ESPN 3 or whatever it was."
Mhm.
So, both my parents were sitting out on the back porch watching the ISK US Open from 2004, and all the the big names, right? Bergamo, La Sala, Serrano.
Oh my God, Bergamo,
Well,
Serrano. I know those guys
all
personally. It was an honor
all
meeting
those guys. So, and then fast forward back to when I qualified, I'm like, 8-year-old B screaming right now. It was a pretty cool moment.
Felt nostalgic in a way.
A little bit,
Yeah.
definitely. Because I'd been telling myself for years, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And then I did it. And then from that November till we got on the plane going to Florida, it was just sidekicks. Just sidekick.
You're just working that thing 10,000 times.
Yep.
That's the old saying.
Yep.
I forgot the saying, but it's about 10,000 kicks from Bruce Lee. It's like, I fear no man who practiced 10,000 kicks, but a man who practiced one kick 10,000 times.
Yeah.
And it was basically, don't fear the man who practices 10,000 movements once.
Yeah.
Fear the man who practices the one movement 10,000
Yeah,
times. So
yeah.
basically,
There you go.
I might be paraphrasing that too, but basically, it's like that one thing you just got to watch out for because that's dangerous.
It's like Superfoot Wallace. He would either catch you with the hook side or round kick. It was
Yep.
just only 3 kicks he
Mhm.
would
Yeah,
know.
we were
That's
just
it.
talking about him in class.
And
Yeah.
have you guys ever trained with him?
Personally, me, no. I know people that have, and I've seen him in person, but
Shout out to Master Valentin. We went and had an old time when I was like 13. We had a seminar at his location. It was like one of his first locations, and I met Superfoot Wallace. Bro was like 70 or 60, maybe just turning 70, and we watched his movements and the way he taught, and very, 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 very nice guy. Like just down to earth, chill. But when you fought him,
He moves.
he can move
He
for
can
an old
move,
timer.
yeah.
That dude, he was like stretching before
Uh-huh.
we started. I'm like, oh, he's stretching, okay, and then he just goes right into a split,
Yep.
just sinks into it.
Dropped
That's
right
this
in.
guy.
I'm like, this guy just, wow. And it's like, like I said, like 2 podcasts ago or last podcast, where it's like, oh, wait until you get to my age. I'm like, no, I won't think about that when I'm there, because I will be doing something different.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Let's hope that that's us.
That's just like what I like to think, because a lot of people have different lives. Everybody has a different drive. Like, I like forms. You like breaking. I think you like weapons more than anything, really.
Which is connected to forms because you just put something in your hand.
Yeah. And then I don't even know what your favorite thing is.
Forms.
She is the forms technician.
You're the forms technician?
She is the forms
Your forms are better than mine.
specialist.
Oh, thanks. How about this? When it comes to board breaking for all of us, has any of us blacked out during the breaking?
What do you mean by blacked out?
Like, you feel like, you know how like Bruce Banner goes Hulk and Bruce doesn't really remember what happened?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So, it's funny, and people ask me that all the time. And when I first started out doing all this power breaking stuff, I get into the ring, I start screaming my head off. Like, you remember those days.
You mean
And
last
It's
year?
hilarious.
yeah, right. And
Last year.
I still let my battle cry loose. Don't get me wrong, but
Nah, man, it's awesome.
when I first started doing it, I would silence convention centers. I was screaming that loud and that much.
Really?
Yeah, and then I'd flub the break. I'd hit like 3 or 4. I'm like, great, now I just looked like a complete idiot for all these people. So my
Yeah.
getting ready to hit routine, like I'll have my music in, I'll be getting my left arm kind of loose or whatever, and then when it's my time to go, I do my pacing thing. Like if you've ever seen me compete,
I've seen you work.
Yep.
And it's funny because all the guys in my division almost kind of know that's my thing. So people kind of give me enough room so I could just pace back and forth for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'll put my music in, I'll do that. And then when they say, all right, Jazerny, it's your turn, I take my AirPods, my phone out or whatever, and I'll line up, get a couple just movements, and then a yell or two, take a second, breathe. You'll see my shoulders drop because I take a nice deep breath.
I noticed that. That's like
And
the
then-
last motion
yeah.
you do. That's
And then
cool.
I just drive
Something
into
out
it.
of an anime.
Yeah,
You just like, it just closes in your face. You go,
pretty much.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of my pregame thing.
You don't take a shot before walking on the floor. I'm just
No,
kidding. I'm just kidding.
No. Usually a hot shower. And
You're going like this.
yeah, give me 1 second, right?
No,
No, they're
Proceeds to yell.
I wonder if people do that actually. Like
I'm
would-
sure.
they go to the bathroom, take a
someone
couple
has.
shots, and then walk right out there.
Salts would probably be good right
Oh yeah,
before
smelling
that.
Yeah.
salts might work.
I'm sure
out.
a lot of people have tried a lot of different things.
Do you think that's like allowed in the Tuxedo tournaments to
Definitely
like just
not.
open up a
God,
bag of
no.
salts and just
Definitely
go?
not. No enhancements. at
Really?
all, honestly,
I don't know.
yeah.
There's got to be
Whether
like
I've
it's
never
been caught or
seen it.
not.
Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm sure it happens somewhere in the world.
I've had a gym buddy do that with. It was like back in high school, and he was like, "You ever tried what are they called? Like opening salts?
The stuff that wakes you up when you're knocked out.
Yeah, smelling salts.
Smelling
That's what they're
Yeah,
really called.
smelling
Smelling
salts.
salts. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought there was another name for them, but I couldn't. I was just so out of it, and I was just like my no good day. I was so tired from like last week with working out with him. He was like, you killed me. And this is the first time I actually started like trying to learn cardio and actually lifting weights. I was just a sophomore. I didn't know any better. I was a gamer. So I'm in the gym, and I'm like, dude, I'm not in it with this one. And he's like, bro, here, I'm gonna give you a little upgrade. So he throws me the smelling salts. I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, because he said he's supposed to like wake you up, like actually, and I never
Yeah.
tried it. I don't know if you ever have either.
Nope.
And it's not bad. It's just literally supposed to wake you up or help somebody that passes
Yeah,
out. It's
it
like a nursing
only-
thing too.
Like it's your
It only
heart
lasts a
racing,
couple
right?
Yeah.
seconds, though, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And when I opened it, he's like, you want to open it right against your nose. So I did. And it felt, you ever see Bugs or Daffy take like something that like makes them go extremely hyper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's essentially what I was feeling in my head. On the outside, I was awake, but on the inside, I wanted to go on like 6 laps
Yeah.
for those 6 seconds. But it was enough to like wake me up and continue my routine. But that stuff is no joke. That's why I'm like, I wonder in that moment if that kicks in adrenaline for a second.
It's
Or,
definitely
like,
an adrenaline.
It fixes something inside of you. Like it just wakes you up and you're like, I'm here, let's go.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I actually wanted to ask you. You mentioned that you started to do the yelling thing.
Mhm.
But what made you want to do that? Like what does it do for you? Just the yelling? Does that hype you up? Like
A little bit.
And why did you start to do it? Like, what made you think, let me just start yelling?
Well, honestly, some of it I think it was just, when I first started out, I didn't know any better, so I was just watching a lot of YouTube. And no, I'm serious. That's kind of how I picked up on certain
I love that, though. That's
certain
good.
things.
That's okay.
Yeah, so I would see them do it. I'm like, all right, I guess this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, when I was first starting out, I'd do all that. I'd flub a break, and then I'd just feel like an idiot. So I was like, you know what? Maybe that's a little too much. Let's dial that part back. And for me, letting loose a couple quick yells just to, cut the adrenaline a little bit. And then, I take a couple deep breaths, mellows me out. And then,
so in a sense,
I can hit faster.
It actually helps you kind of get leveled.
Yeah.
So if you're like really antsy yelling and then
helps me burn off that extra energy. Yep.
Yeah,
and if your body's too tense when you're about to hit a stack like that, it's just no good.
Because remember, for like we were saying, smallest guy in the room, so I have to rely on that speed and that agility that not everyone else has.
Yeah.
So if I'm all tense and tight, I can't move as quick as I am if I'm just, relaxed.
I hear you. I hear you. What about you guys? Do you guys have any like tips on how you guys handle like things entering a tournament? Like, how about my question is for everybody, and I have some advice too, but maybe you guys do the same thing I do. What are some tips you do during like being in the moment? Like, you pace, like you take your breathing, you have your exercises and stuff, but that's allowed like in the middle of the ring, which is how you guys run it. What do you guys do during weapons or sparring or while you're in the forms? What are you guys thinking about in that moment?
Not messing up.
Not messing up. That's, I mean, maybe. Yeah, I guess essentially. What did you say?
I was going to say, can you be more specific on one of them? But let's just say...
the form starts.
Okay,
form starts. What's going on in your head before, during, and obviously after. That's the, oh, thank God it's over. But I'm asking essentially, like, how do you get in that preparation, here we go, to, crap, it's my turn, I'm here, we're doing it, this is it. Where's the essential, I need to control the tunnel vision?
Well, the funny thing is, I'm more nervous, but once they call my name, I get a little more mellow.
Okay.
It's like, okay, it's here. Now it's just time to do it, right?
Yeah.
You built up all this energy and all this from waiting. You get nervous and stuff. So once you hear your name, it's like, okay, now it's time to unleash it. And the first thing that's going through my mind is, how am I going to unleash all this energy in doses? Because you could expel all of that in the first few seconds. You could under-expel it and then end up not doing your best. Or you could just, there's so many different ways you could do that, right? So after I do my introduction, which is usually the hardest part because I want to make sure I don't get tongue-tied because you're so on adrenaline, you're like, you might bite your tongue.
Do you guys allow that to be part of the forms too? As really getting tongue twisted? That's what you guys think it is?
If you mess up your introduction, it gets point related. So
what if someone?
I mean,
what if someone
really,
has like a stuttering issue, like a natural stuttering issue?
Exactly. I
You
mean,
could
the way
tell,
I look at
I
the
think
intro
that might be
is
a little bit more obvious, but
Okay.
a lot of, our interclub tournaments, it's all the same people. You know literally everybody.
Yeah, I've
even though
interacted
you're
with all
from
of them
different
practically.
schools.
Yeah,
So
they're all cool.
what I would say for me is once the form starts, is one, don't black out, because I have done that. It's sometimes it's great when I end the form, sometimes it's not. And also just to make sure I pace my breathing, because I have this bad...
The breathing, man, of course.
I have a bad issue with not breathing, and I didn't realize that until many masters and friends of mine said, hey, you should breathe. And I would just be standing next to them, and they're saying you should breathe, and I'm like, I am. And they're like, no, you're holding it. I said, really? And then I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. So
there it is.
A true exhale out.
like a real breath instead of just these shallow ones that are just keeping you alive and stimulated, which is making your heart rate go up. So once I take my first deep breath, when I go into my attention stance, I'm going to call it that because, there might be different styles called different, but my attention stance right before I begin my form, I take one deep breath, close my eyes, do a little eye roll.
Yep.
You don't see that. That's why my eyes closed. A little eye roll, exhale, open my eyes, and then go.
Yeah.
And then it's just making sure I don't burn myself up before the end.
I got you. Okay.
That's about it for me.
What about you, Kayla? You said it's different because, like, you know a lot of people there?
Yeah, which I think these people know my capability.
Yeah.
So it makes it more nerve-wracking for me. Because if I do mess up, then I know that they know I can do better than
Oh, is
that.
it the expectation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's
no
a good
matter
one.
who is looking at me,
Never thought
even
of it
if
like
I'm in
that.
regular class, like if we're all in line together, I'm not nervous. But even if I were to go up in front of everybody and just do it by myself, like I still get nervous. I mean, especially at tournaments, I freak
Yeah.
out
Yes, she
big
does.
time.
Yeah.
I go around, I'm saying to everyone, I'm like, I'm so nervous, I'm so nervous. And everyone's like, stop, you're giving me anxiety just by saying that. So the only thing I do when I go up there is I take a huge deep breath
The breath really does help you.
before I start breaking forms, weapons, whatever.
Does water help for you? Some people get like tweaked out with
Not
water.
beforehand. I chug it after.
You chug it after, yeah.
But I do exhaust myself quite a bit in the beginning of my forms, where
feel
by
like-
the end I'm completely gassed.
Do you feel like it's like while you're doing it, you're just giving out way too much energy in the beginning?
Kind of, but
Yeah.
also my nerves, it, like, makes me hard to do.
And it makes you tense up too. It makes you
Yeah.
tense up your entire body.
Yeah, I will say like sometimes when I'm on the floor, when it's my turn, there's a moment where usually I don't like going first. I don't think any of us here can. I think we can all agree going first sucks
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't matter how. And I've learned this from the last tournament. I mean, you can be great, but going first sucks because it's just for some reason it's like a curse. You just don't do good for some reason. The first up always doesn't do good. I think it's because they have to set the pace.
Yeah,
You're setting the
that's yeah.
So they're not going to score you high or low.
They're gonna set you somewhere in
Yeah,
the middle.
You're in the
they're
middle.
gonna score you average so that
Yeah.
they can rate
Move up
everybody
or
else.
down.
Yeah, that's the horrible part. It's like where can we average
And
this?
you're forgetful. No matter how well you do going first, I mean, everyone's gonna remember the last person over the first person.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
And I
Even
don't
if
know-
they're terrible.
I don't know if you noticed it too. Like since we've all competed in forms at one point, watching someone else do a form and seeing them do it really good makes you do your form better.
It inspires
So
you in that
push.
sense.
It
Yeah.
makes you
Makes
push.
you
So
push.
if you're the first person, you might not push as hard as if you were the fourth or third.
I-
You know, so
I also think like sometimes when I'm performing, there's like a moment I want to say like it's my chumbi where I really get everything settled in. For me personally, what really gets me going is like I bounce a little bit. I kind of just do what you guys do. I obviously can't pace while they're doing their form.
Yeah,
That'd be a
yeah, I got
little rude. But I just kind of sit there. And right when they call my name, open my eyes, take a deep breath, bow the three, do my usual thing. And then I don't know if you notice, but I do this little scene where I kind of back up and I kind of play with my surroundings a little
Yeah.
bit. That's me getting in my moment because that's me kind of getting a little loose and just kind of a little more animated.
Yep.
And that gets me in my gets me out of my panic. And then once I go and then you see me do this. I kind of look around, kind of like get the floor. I want this
Yeah.
moment to be mine. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I'm about to start. I have to realize, all right, this is my space. And I think that's what helps me is that I kind of, right before I begin, I give myself a little bit of me time, if that makes sense. Like I shut everybody out. I back up, look around. I go, okay. And then I begin.
And then it's game time.
And it's game time, exactly. And I think just for me, having a little bit of, all right, here's David, la 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 la, all right, let's go.
Yep.
And then I wake up. I don't know if you guys seen that part, but when it's the part where I wake up out of the chumbi, because I go like, or I bow out, and then I go, I just like come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then you'll see, he sees me go, he sees me gagging, because it's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of energy.
Yep.
Especially like you could train 1,000 times, man. You know, you could train 1,000 every single day. But that one day, it's like
It could be good
It's-
or it could suck.
it could be, yeah, it could go well or it could go complete dookie. It's
Yeah.
just it's like, but now it's like at the end of the day, the 1,000% that you put every single day combines into that one day. That's how it feels.
So I got a question,
Yeah.
continuing similar to this.
Yeah.
So we've all been to tournaments, including ours, at least the Yankees.
Yep.
You win first, now you got to go again. Right? Yeah, exactly. So how
Yeah.
do you handle that after you just gas yourself to get first?
Honestly, I'm not too worried about it the first time because the second time, because when I go the first time, that's the nervous part.
Yeah.
It's more like, okay, what did I do that I felt like garbage, but somehow I managed to get to first place?
How can I beat myself?
Yeah, how
at
can I
that point?
make that look better, right? What can I make it? Oh, maybe I should add this, but then I could be like, oh, maybe I should add this, maybe not. Maybe take this away, maybe not take this away, maybe keep this. Like kind of think about it in my head, and then I'll play with it a little bit more. The stuff that I don't feel like I was okay with, I'll ask for somewhat other advice or like just look up online real quick if I'm going to Grands, and I would get up every piece of info I could, and then I'll combine it into that form, and then if I win, I win. If I don't, I don't.
Yeah.
But that would actually make me feel better knowing that I won the first time, because at that point I'm at Grands. Now I just got to make it look better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But personally, no, for me, it's the thought of I already got here. Now I can just do it again and just show off a little bit at that point.
It's more of an enjoyable
Yeah.
experience.
That's
a little more
that's
fun.
my mindset. Yes.
Because in your head, you already did your deed,
Yeah, bro.
and now
Yeah.
it's just bonus.
It's mainly like my goal is to like, I'm only nervous because I want to get to Grands. That's my goal.
Yeah.
But if I don't win Grands, I don't care personally.
Yeah.
It's the fact that I just want to make sure I'm still reaching that expectation of myself.
Yep.
I don't care that I didn't get the trophy. I care that I actually made it.
Yeah.
If
I'm
I
up there
didn't
with
make it,
all
what-
the other first place winners in this room. Yeah.
Exactly. And if I didn't make it, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, or what could you do better? Or like, yeah, where was the fault?
Yeah, what did I do? And then what do? I look at the people that beat me. I compare, I contrast. I'm like, okay, so his kick, obviously he held it longer. Maybe I can add it longer and add a little bit of more pizzazz with my technique. So I try to add a little bit of flair. You know what I mean? Like some things, like in Kusan Kunso, there's things that some people don't really pick up on. There's a part where you come around, you go 1, 2, 3. I go 1, 2, and then 3.
Is that right when you're
That's
in the
that's
classical
part
stance
where
here?
you go 1, 2, 3, and then you pull back and come up. There's another one where it goes 1, and then I pull back. My hand just goes. Some people do 1, 2.
Yeah.
I go 1, 2.
Okay.
You see the difference?
Yeah,
So that is what I try to set the pace. I try to make it look way different from the rest.
I got you.
Like this guy has his hand here. What if I go 1, 2, 3?
Yeah.
Just put the pieces together. But will that work? I don't know. I'll try it.
Give it a shot. You never know, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. But like going on into that topic, when it comes to like open tournaments, you guys don't have a certain flow anymore when it comes to that. You guys have your own free range of like hop, 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 or hop, hop.
Oh,
Cadence?
tempo wise on the
tempo,
forms.
tempo. You guys
yeah.
have your own tempo. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. But when it comes to that, how do you guys feel about forms, like the Chilsung forms? Let's start off with that. Chilsung forms. Anybody that's Tangsudo here, or anybody that knows the forms called Chilsung, they're very internal forms. Some of them are very long. And
Yes.
Marathons.
the question
They are.
is, how do you pace yourself through a form that's extremely long, like Chilsun Yakro?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good
that's
one.
funny. That was like the topic of the week. Damn.
Well, the thing with the Chilsons, and for people viewing that may not be familiar, the Chilson forms are like the demon love child of like Tung Sudo, and then you have like the Chinese influence on top of it,
Okay.
right? I think that's a good way to describe that.
I like
Yeah.
the way you said that.
Yeah.
That's
So-
very, very good.
You know, I mean, you have your moves in there where they're your power moves, but then you also have the very relaxed, flowy, I call it the praying mantis hand thing in number 6.
It's the Italian.
The Italian.
The Italian, she calls it the Italian. Some people call it the chicken wrist, whatever, right?
Never
Variation, yeah.
Heard that. I
So
don't like that.
You don't like
One
it
calls
bit.
it that.
You're not
No,
a fan of the
I-
chicken wrist?
I think Murray calls it the chicken hand.
No, we gotta
We got to nip
gotta
that
scratch
one.
that.
Got to talk to him about that.
But you know, I think you can kind of filter it out move to move, right? Obviously, on your power moves, you're gonna really lock it out there. But with the praying mantis or the Italian hand, you can kind
Give
of
a nice little flow.
slow down, flow it out,
Yeah.
and breathe through it, and catch your breath halfway.
Yeah.
It's true. Honestly, I feel like what makes the form so tiring is that because you can't keep the same
To stop
tempo
and
of
go.
Yeah, stop
fast,
and
fast,
go.
fast, 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 and then you go slow. And then you know how
Yeah.
hard it is to go from that pace with your heart?
Yeah.
And then tell
Yeah.
your heart to, hey, calm down for a second.
Yeah, give me
It
a
takes a
second.
lot of
Speed up.
energy.
And then slow down.
It takes so much energy.
It's really that's where the cardio kicks in, honestly.
Yeah.
Isn't yuck row internal and external?
Oh yeah.
Well, it feels like
Yuck row,
that.
the yuck row forms or chill sun?
Yuck. Chill sun.
Chill sun.
Chill sun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's an internal and external form for sure.
Those are the worst ones in my
Yeah.
opinion, but they're good.
Yeah.
They're good
They're
for you.
beautiful and amazing, and they just feel horrible until you get it.
Yeah.
It's just like a
Yeah.
love-hate
It
relationship.
takes a long time to learn those.
Yeah.
I think the form I hated, the first form I actually learned and began to hate was Ping on Odon.
Okay.
Ping on Odon.
What's
I
the
hated that
shortest
form.
form?
It was short, but there was like a
There's a-
section. Go ahead.
There's even in those lower forms, there's still a lot of little nuances that if you don't do them right, the form just doesn't work.
Just never worked. Like maybe if it was Ping on Odon, it was the part where that's why I got scared, because that was the first time like my joints got all like crickety crackety on me. We did this yoga capoeira session, right? We did this capoeira thing back in my old karate school, and we were doing like different kicks and like movements and
I
stuff.
would love to do that.
It was so fun. And one night I was practicing them, and then there was one where it goes into an aerial flip, a sweep, and then you do a kick up, and that was like for the advanced class. And I was trying to do it for a little bit, and then as I was practicing, I did the aerial flip. I did the knee sweep, and as I was coming around, my knee went somehow. It just
fun.
did this twist thing. My joints started separating a little bit. That's when it
great.
happened, I guess. So I ended up getting little bones removed from there, and then every now and
Bones?
then I would
Bone chips?
like
Or-
bone chips, like the bone
Nice.
chips. It was like I could have made a necklace out of it, dude.
Oh, that would have been cool.
It would have been cool. I should have just said it was like the name of my victim. Actually, I'm gonna get canceled if I say. We'll get just completely canceled if I say that. Just
Anyways,
joking. So, with that said, it would just be little bone chips coming out. But I could never do the form because there was a part where you have your hands. You have your hand like right here, kick, drop, and you'd be here. Come, jump up, and then drop down. That
Yep.
part right there. It was the whole section doing the crescent kick. The crescent kick would get me every time because I was afraid I'd like give my knee out, because it did happen once.
Now, was
I
it
would
on the
pivot and my knee twisted a little.
was it on the standing leg or the kicking leg that you're afraid with the kick?
It was the kicking leg because there was a twist somewhere.
oh, on that right leg.
Because
there?
remember, you gotta remember, I came around without even twisting. I came around this way when my foot was in the air when I was gonna go
Oh,
for the
and
kick up.
your knee
And
did
some-
that.
Yeah, and somehow my knee managed to crick all over the place. It was like, so I'm like, when I did the crescent kick during the red belt form or in the red belt class, I did the crescent kick, but my knee did that. So like it would always tweak me out. So every time I would do that form, I'd somehow get a little PTSD doing that form. But when it comes to like certain forms, like Chill Sun Samro, I had to stop during class once because I was like in the middle of doing it. I was so confused. I actually had to stop. And I'll be like, I don't know, I can't do this. And I walked out I walked off the floor. I was like 15.
Oh,
I was 15. I didn't really know what was going on. This is me probably like, whatever, puberty and stuff. Because like I just started learning what anxiety was like at 15
so
years
it hit
old.
you like really intense.
Yeah, so I was learning, and this was the first time I actually got confused in karate because I usually picked up on things.
Yep.
Shilson Samra was just so difficult. It was the direction of where the chops were that were really getting me just getting me so mad.
and the third chill sun is where the chill suns start to get a little weird.
Yeah, man, I just got so confused, and I stood up and walked out for a minute. And I've had moments like that where I've had given up right there in the class, and I just walked out for a second. And I have great instructors that helped me. You guys ever had that before, though? Please tell me I'm not alone in that.
Like walked out, or
Like you
just like
you just had a moment. You're just like you're just so annoyed in that moment. You just bow and you just walk out for a second.
No.
Or it's like you just kind of say, I need a minute, sir, or ma'am, I need a minute. I need to walk away. You guys never had that, huh? Really? Okay.
not from learn, maybe from exertion.
Yeah.
That's happened
Like
more than once for
overexertion,
me,
like overstimulating.
Yeah.
Not so much with learning, but like I used to push myself too much. Where at one time I actually made myself sick. And I had
Okay.
to say, hey, I need a second. Like that was my
So
own
you've been
fault.
physically overwhelmed.
I physically overwhelmed myself.
I'm
Mentally,
sure we've all
I've
been
been there,
physically overwhelmed before.
Oh yeah.
but it was like one time it was just like extremely where it's like they thought I was doing something wrong. I was actually gonna make myself pass out.
You guys never been mentally overwhelmed before learning stuff?
I've been Not really. I mean, I've been frustrated with myself while training. Like sometimes if I'm just running through breaks, especially for sidekick, I focus mainly on kicking straight out
Yeah.
and aim more than anything. And if I'm just having an off day, I'm kicking up, I'm kicking to the side, I'm kicking low, or whatever the case may be. I'll kind of just say, you know what, give me 2 minutes. I go out, get a drink, walk in a circle, come back in, and I'm usually okay. That kind of thing, but never nothing like that.
A mental reset.
Yeah, mental
Is
reset.
that like during class too?
No, normally for breaking stuff, I wait till after. And
You never had like a mental moment during class?
I've had a mental moment during a tournament.
Oh.
Yeah, so,
I
God.
had a full-on freak out.
Yeah, I think it was a panic attack. Not to get too detailed.
You're good because I need info like this for myself.
Yeah, no,
This
I
helps
got
me.
you.
This helps
So,
me.
a couple years ago, my mother had a fight with breast cancer. She's
Mhm.
fine. Just celebrated 2 years clean last week.
Awesome.
Mama J.
That's
so
awesome.
thank you. That whole thing happened from like late December till about mid-January.
Yeah.
And there was just a lot of tension, not tension, but she's a nurse, so she understands all that stuff.
It's a lot
so-
of weight.
It'll wait on me because I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Gotcha.
Again, she was a nurse, so she was freaked out, but not as bad as me and my father.
Right. Yeah.
We're both, a technical background. I'm an engineer. He's a tech ed teacher.
Good for you guys.
We don't know anything about the human body, so I was a nervous wreck. And so we had an interclub tournament where I was breaking, and I was looking forward to this because I could finally just hit stuff and yell and scream.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I thought you were doing your weapons.
No. It was during a break.
I was standing right there. I should remember.
Oh man, you were just standing. You were standing
I
right
literally
there.
was
Yeah.
standing right there.
It's like, oh man. It's
And
funny.
like we were saying, for me, when I break, all that adrenaline, it just
The emotion.
emotion and
Yeah.
everything, and that was the first time I was emotional during a tournament. So all that kind of, I don't know, culminated and came out, and I was freaking out, and yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
It's never happened ever
That was
since.
the first time that's ever happened, and like the only time.
Yeah,
There's probably just like a lot of stress.
yeah, stress and like I said, the adrenaline and everything kind of just all in one shot. And
Yeah.
got freaked out.
I definitely had. I feel like only once have I ever freaked out during a tournament, and that was during. That was when I went down into Virginia, and that was more of a stressful scenario for me because listen, for anybody that I don't know if you did it or didn't, but anybody that's out there, do not date anybody in your karate school. Okay, I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay, I was 15,
Solid advice.
16 when this happened. I was a student. I was not an adult when this happened. I just want to clarify. But this was there's this girl that was preparing for a tournament, and I found out that she was cheating on me with some other guy in the school, and that was the day before the tournament.
Oh god.
And it was just not my cup of tea. It was so bad. It was so bad. Yeah, I think I actually had to they let me compete, but I was late getting there. I was arguing with the judges. It was just not,
It was a rough
not a
day.
good day, and it was not a good. And I could take the L and share this, saying that like I messed up. You know what I mean? Like I was a kid, but even then, there's still amount of like lines when to cross and when not to. But if I had like a better way of handling it at the time, better mindset, it would have been great. But long story short, I got second place.
Hey,
So
there
whatever,
you
I
go.
got second. You know, it's not first like that other guy. He's the real winner. No, he's got his own he's got his own problems.
Yeah.
But and that's the only time I actually had like those mental moments.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
not it, man. Especially like with something like that is your passion, your life, something you've dedicated a lot to. It's like I should not be dealing with something that's, especially in my realm, this shouldn't be a problem for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've had people try to take that away from me. I've had people like in relationships say, hey, it's either me or karate. And I'm like, all right, well, I know what I'm choosing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
karate's
Talk
been
to you
here
later.
well
Thank you
before
for making that so
and it'll
easy
be
for me.
here well
Takes
after
away
you.
stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't need to be that jerk. It's just like, I think we've all been here. I don't know if anybody here has been challenged like that.
No.
But I have before, where someone was like, you do this a lot. It'd be nice to be like, sure. But then things get carried away and they're
Mhm.
like, you know what I mean? It's just unneeded.
Like, I don't know about you guys, like when it comes to like dealing with stress, like when you're doing karate or competing or anything like that, but for me at least, when I'm overly stressed, I tend to just get this unworldly drive to just actually keep going to do it more. I don't know.
Like prove a
the-
point?
for myself.
Yeah, I can
Like,
understand
I
that.
remember.
Is there a yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
give me some context.
Okay, so there was this one time where I had like this weird. I got sick, right, and I was around like 18, and I was in the hospital for like on and off about 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
And I had to go to a tournament originally, like 2 weeks into it, right? So just got out of the hospital. Tournament was in 2 days. My family's like, "Oh, you're not going, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am."
I'm getting
And
my
they're
stuff
like,
right now.
What?
yeah.
Like,
this
how are you
with-
gonna do that? This is like they tested me for everything. They
Yeah.
couldn't find nothing. Basically, it was like symptoms of like what COVID would have been, but this is way before COVID was the thing.
Yep.
So I felt like I was dying, but I was like, you know what? Let me do it. And I did everything. I did forms, I did breaking, I did sparring, I did weapons. Also, on top of that, I couldn't bend my spine because I tapped it.
Oh,
And
Yikes.
on top
Oh.
of that, in this breaking, because I mean, I'm gonna skip into it, but basically, I was competing, and this is the for people that watch the other videos, this is that tournament that I messed up my shoulder while I did the break.
Yeah.
When I did a hammer fist like this, it didn't break the board. The board shocked my shoulder, and it
Oh,
popped it
I
out of
think I
socket.
remember that.
So I went through all of that. Still had 3 categories to go.
Yeah,
I
boy.
took a couple aspirins, held my arm like this, and sparred with one hand.
Gotta love it,
And I
man.
kept going, and then I
Yep.
did forms and weapons, all that
That's
other
beautiful.
stuff. Got second across the board, but the fact that I actually knew that I shouldn't have been able to do it, or I shouldn't have done it because of, you know, everything that was going on.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that everything that was happening was horrible as I was doing it. It just made me want to push more to prove to myself that I actually can.
10 out of 10 don't recommend doing what Javon did.
Don't
Yeah,
do what I did.
that- yeah.
But it definitely,
Don't try this at home, kids.
I did it
Yeah,
for me.
yeah.
Train
It was more
professional.
of a I did it for me thing, because I felt so broken down at that moment for many reasons, and that's what I picked myself up doing that.
And I think that's what, you know, for me, I would assume you guys might agree with me, but that's why I do martial arts. It's what I do. It's what I love to
Stress
do.
reliever?
Not even that. It's just what I love to do. I've been doing it
Oh,
since
okay.
I was 5.
Yeah.
You know, the camaraderie, the family aspect,
Yeah.
the competing, traveling all over the place. I just like doing it.
Yeah.
You
Can't
know?
beat it, honestly.
Yeah.
I want to know what else I would do.
Honestly, sometimes I think about
Go ahead.
like Saturday mornings or whenever we have class. I'm like, what are people doing right now with their time?
Yeah.
Because I know where I'm gonna be that same day, same time, every single week. And
Same
I'm like, what if I
people,
never
yeah.
did karate? Like, what would I be doing with my life?
Forms are a special thing, I think, in my opinion, because anybody could punch and knee strike and do a little bit of grappling, whatever. Like, but to just say you know this form that was taught and created so long ago, and you have the ability to train someone or just learn a new form is pretty freaking cool, in my opinion.
Pass on that
Pass it on.
ancient art. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you can sit there and you could show how to throw hands all day. That's awesome. And I'm for that. Just when it comes to the technicality and the philosophy of why we do things and why it's done a certain way, you really have to like empty your mind to like really hone in that whole knowledge, you know what I mean? Of the Tungstado life, Japanese culture, the karate, you know, Kempo, all that stuff. Because not many people look at it as if it's like oh, I'm going to sit here. I'm sorry. A lot of people look at this styling. They think it's like boring or for children. You know what I mean? In some aspects, but it's like those forms are not for kids. They're for adults just as much.
And if you really break down some of those moves, even in the Piang series,
Yeah.
some of those moves are kind of nasty. You know?
Eat on.
oh yeah,
Mhm.
there's a couple nasty ones in there. all the low spears and stuff.
Mhm.
There was Pyongan Sadan. Yeah, Pyongan Sadan, where you come to the spear, drop, and you come around with the hammer fist, or in some cases, it's a tomahawk for some, or a hammer fist for
Yeah.
other people.
Sodom.
People,
Samdan.
is it Samdan?
Is
It
that
is
Samdan?
Samdan. Thank you, thank
Oh.
you.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out what
I was
going
gonna
to
say
Yeah.
there's none of that.
I
in
haven't
So you're
Sodom.
right before the punch,
yeah, I
right?
haven't
Yep.
done those two, no, because I've always get mixed up with Samdan and Sadan. Sadan is
Yeah.
the open hands.
Yep.
But for Samdan, it was a double low block, and then I'm sorry, not a double low block. You come in for the spear. That's either to the chest or to the throat. From there, you drop it, and you're basically taking their neck and you're shoving it down, and you're
Yep.
pushing them to the ground.
Yeah.
And then you still have them in that arm scenario. You're turning around. You're actually having their arm like this.
Yeah.
And you're just making it go. You're just
Yeah.
twisting it. And I'm like, that is nasty. Remember the guy in Pyongan? He did like a whole demonstration on like what Pyongan was, a throw.
Yes.
That was so cool. I never thought of it like that.
Basically, for the people that know the form, you know how we go, okay, we kick elbow, right?
Yep.
For us, I believe you guys teach it low too, right? Right after when you squat down, right before the jump.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know that you've
Or
learned it
before
up
the jump.
right before the jump. So when you go down like cross-legged low and then you jump the
No,
neck,
so we.
Yeah, you guys are
But we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
So
you come up with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, it's more of a middle
And
thing.
then-
he learned one. They taught me low, but in reality, it turns into the same thing. It's just kind of like the setup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we were to combine all of it together, it's here, which makes sense because I did jujitsu, and this is basically the Siyanagi.
Yep.
Basically, right before the shoulder throw.
Yeah, you're getting them
you're
ready to throw them.
here. When we jump, it actually makes more sense to not jump because you're going to be throwing the person, and then
Over,
you're bringing
yeah.
them down, and
Yeah,
that's why you do the low X.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
now
yeah. You're
dragging them in
stepping
front of
over.
your
Yeah.
knees.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
the way he did it too was so clean.
He did it just like the form, and it worked as if it was butter. He
It
went
just
1,
shows.
2, boom.
And that was a normal attack. He didn't step in low block. Master Bernardo threw a punch right at him.
Yep.
And he just went block right over. I'm like, there you go. See, that's the true thing about technicality and practicality. You put the technicality, why do we do this? Why do we do these low blocks? It's
Yeah.
like, first of all, it's to build structure, to start you off like where it begins.
Mhm.
You know, in a real fight, they don't expect you to do I don't think instructors
Oh, no,
anticipate
God,
you
no.
to do low blocks and center punches, you know? But it's like my Krav Maga instructor taught me this nice little philosophy. No fight is clean. No fight is perfect. And you know what? When you are fighting someone, you're training your body to not go into that natural habit of wind making punches. You
Yeah.
know? So you're trying to get from this, and then here comes the training. Here's like the white belt training. Okay, now here's the orange belt training. Here's the yellow belt, blue belt. Now you have some structure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not going to be pretty, but it's taking the wild animal out of you and at least building some
Yeah.
type of structure.
Yeah.
Direction.
Exactly.
Theory versus application,
Exactly.
which is another thing that people who don't train, a lot of exposure to martial arts is, you know, the cheesy 70s and 80s movies. Yeah, which drives me out of my mind.
Everyone's watching.
Yeah, but you know, you have the goofy 70s martial arts movies, which
Yeah.
drive me up a wall. But then if you really break down the moves in the I think the term I'm looking for is like the kinesiology of how you're moving your body to move someone else's body, like what you're doing, what you're defending against.
Yeah.
Once you really start dissecting it and looking at it, I think that's really where it gets cool, like the philosophy behind it.
The whole aspect of the Tung Sado is just great. And I mean, it's called martial arts, you know, it's in the name.
Arts plural.
Yeah,
Plural.
exactly. And a lot of people think that you know, the art is like one thing, but it's like so much more than just Tung Sado and boxing, because they all had to originate from something. Everybody had to get pieces from somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just wouldn't make sense if like, what if this was like, oh, I made it up. It's called bullshido, my guy.
Yeah.
It's called bullshido.
Oh yeah, we know plenty of that.
I know people. We'll cut this short because we're really running out of time now. But I guess we could talk about that next week. Bullshido. Like I've heard and seen some pretty interesting scenarios, and I almost had to pretend to believe people when they would because I just didn't want to call them out. There was just not the time and place to do it. It's like, wow, yeah, you're right. That's a move. It's a move.
Good job.
He's
Yeah.
like, let me tell you how to get away from someone does the move. I'm like, yeah, that's a move, all right. It's just, I didn't want to tell him it was fake, but it's just like one of those moments.
You know, you
I don't
could
know if
do
you-
an entire episode of just breaking down the Bullshido videos, and we could do great color commentary. I'm just saying.
Honestly, if we could do that, if I can set it up, we could set it up next week. You could just watch a bunch of Bullshido next week. We could do that. I'm totally
And
for it.
that's the other thing that drives me nuts. Like I was saying, how the martial arts movies make my blood boil. But you know, you got the internet trolls and the weekend warriors who just want to. Those boards are pre-cut. They
gosh,
score
we
them.
can talk about that
Oh
soon.
my God,
We can talk
and
about that next week.
There's
People get
The-
nasty.
The
on those
comments on
videos.
Instagram.
oh
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, it's like, they'll never work in a fight. And then I'm that guy, oh yeah? Come here. I'm like, I'll show you right now.
Right,
I'll
right.
just play along with it. And if they believe me, well, they're dumb. All right, well, I'm going to cut it right there. Guys, thank you for joining us on episode 8. We're going to be going into episode 9, probably talking about tournaments, Bullshido, and all those other things.
Oh yeah.
Actually, we did talk about tournaments, so we'll go into other stuff. But please send us questions in regards to like what life and martial arts and anything that pertains to that. How would it best you? What have you got any issues? And we're not the therapist, but we can give you the best teaching advice.
Yeah.
So, Patrick, thank you for joining us.
Of course, thanks for
Appreciate
having
it.
me.
To see you soon, and Kayla, thank you for joining us again. And
I
I'm
was kind
sure
of quiet this time, but I let Pat take the reins.
It's all good.
Everything was good.
it's all good. And Javon, hi. But that was Let's Talk. I hope to see you guys soon next week. And it may or may not be the same group, but hey, it's all good because we're good family regardless. All right. So we'll see you soon. Thank you for tuning in. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah.